私たち年寄りのために若い人たちが犠牲になって、
この人のおかげで私たちの幸せが成り立ってるの。子供は子供らしく子供を演じてればいいのよ。
逃げたって無駄よ。どこの世界も同じなんだから。
We are back. Yes, another
Back, baby.
season 3
Season 3
of What's Your Story here on Horror Fiends. I had to think about that for a minute. Like, hold on, wow, it has been 3 seasons. Yeah.
Yes.
Season 3 of What's Your Story. If you're new to this show, what we do is we take those slow burns, films that, well, the other fellows don't really like talking about much, but we talking about here because we look at films that are more character and story driven. And when we do our reviews, it's based on the story, the characters, the overall plot, more like if you're reading a book, but we're doing this watching a film. And I am joined here by the fourth corner herself, my co-host for all 3 seasons of What's Your Story, the lovely Lexi. Are you ready for this what the fuck film that we just happened to pick?
This one's a jaw dropper. This one's a jaw dropper. And to put on record, I am dressed like a bum because it's freezing in Florida at like 30 degrees. So everybody else can complain and yell at me who's up north like JR, the villain. He's sitting in what, the teens?
Oh yes, the teens. It's supposed to drop, I think, tomorrow like 2 degrees.
But this is not for Florida, man. I'm cold. I'm freezing. So I would love a horror shirt on, but I'm bundled up.
It's funny because I left Florida a couple weeks ago, and I left the cold behind with you guys. I mean, granted, I came up.
Yeah, you did.
The cold came up, but hey, you know what? Got to share that cold weather with you guys. So before we start talking about this film, as you could tell, best wishes to all is the name of this one. Me and Lexi were going back and forth to, for a film to talk about for our first episode. Yes, when we sit there and talk about the films that we want to basically split, we have 12 episodes. Lexi picked 6, I picked 6. And, we want to start with something different. So I stumbled upon this one. It's the first watch for both of us. But I was looking for some interesting movie that basically nobody's heard of before. And I'm sure nobody's heard of this one at all.
I didn't know this one.
Yeah, people will be talking more about this film, hopefully, after we basically dive into it, because this film was, I'm going to say right off the bat, this is probably one of the most creative films I've seen in a long time. And it just felt different. It felt something new because they took something as simple as, happiness. The film is basically about happiness. And how far would you go at what expense to make sure that you and your family are happy? So we are talking about
that one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Best Wishes for All 2024. It was directed by, I'm not going to, butcher the name hopefully, but Yuta Shimotsu. And ironically, this is the funny part too. When you look at the cast of this film, they really don't have the name of the actual characters they're playing. But the main actress in this film is Katone Furukawa, who, I'll be honest, she did an amazing job for what I mean. I felt like some of her scenes were, we'll get more into it, but some of her scenes felt very natural as far as the reactions that, I know I would have, when I was watching this film, because some of these scenes, I just can't wait to talk about this film. But yeah, we have this basically this college student. She's went to school for nursing. She just finished and she's, getting prepped up to go and basically, take the test. But she decides that she's going to go visit her family, her grandparents. So in the beginning sequence of this film, we see her, younger girl, and she experiences something in the house, something where this always happens to be a door at the end of the freaking hallway that freaks everybody out. Lo and behold, this film has the same, and she sees something, and basically, she still dreams about it. And we get woken up with basically a time lapse of when she was a little girl to basically college. And so, actually, with a lot of these stories we do, the introduction is basically what we're looking for, whether or not the film grasps you. So, I mean, what did you think about the opening sequence between the timelines of her as a child to basically her as a teenager, well, a college student? I mean, did it like hook you from the beginning?
I mean, with any cold open, it has to lure the viewer in. And with this one, I was lured in because it felt like my vibe. However, this film took a completely 360. It was not what I expected. But in the first scene, it starts off with her family and they're at the dinner table, they're eating, they're talking about life and happiness, and they go to bed and she hears noises. And of course, they're going to expect, I wouldn't, but she went to go inspect. She's a kid. And it's the scary door down the hallway. But she sees something in the crack of the door. And the lighting of the film, I couldn't tell what she was actually seeing. But it obviously freaked her out. And then she wakes up as a college student. But it was a dream that she had. Trauma, I guess. I didn't know what to think of it. Because I'm thinking, as the cold open, I'm lured in because I'm thinking there's a demon behind the door or a ghost or is the house on. That's my vibe. I like the exorcism, scary, really, really scary ones. Totally not what the fuck I thought as it continued into the story. But yeah, it does lure you in. I wanted to know more. What was behind the door? What did she see that freaked her out into hyperventilation? So it was a nice cold open.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, the first thing I thought about being this where this film takes place, I first thought of the movie Grudge, Go On, because this is the noises upstairs, people go upstairs and basically something happens. So I like the way the reaction was, because when she heard the noise, she's trying to wake up her mother. Her mother was like, you're old enough to go to the bathroom on your own, just go to the bathroom on your own, go. So natural reaction for a parent. So, I like the whole sequence they had, because every time she would come up the steps, even later on, you would get that basically that shot of the stairwell and basically showing her coming up slowly. So, it hooked me, because I'm like, what the hell is that at the door? Who is at the door? And what's that noise?
You want to know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that hooked me right away. And I like the fact that it went from her basically being a child to like waking up still with that in her head, knowing she's going back home. So one of the interesting things of this film is, if you don't know by now, I have a thing with old people in movies. They're just creepy.
Me too. I was telling Brian that when I was watching it. I'm like, I don't like the little kids either, but if there's anybody scarier, it's definitely old people. And it's
like
film recommendation: watch the movie Old People. That will scare you to shit.
Yeah.
I don't like old people.
No, but
No
this
offense.
this one was definitely something, because I'm watching this film. I'm like, all right, is this the visit? I mean, there was so many things about the two grandparents, because granted they were family oriented. I mean, that's just basically the upbringing, with the culture, and very, they sit down and eat dinner. They have to sit down and eat food together. This is one of the biggest things of that culture. And, we get basically, she goes to the house, the grandparents are there, they're right off the bat, they're eating, and you get, and then once again, she hears that noise. But like, what did you think of, I know this is going to be a lot too. What did you think of the behavior at the grandparents, with the grandparents when we first started experiencing them?
Well, I mean, she first gets there, it's happy, it's inviting. The atmosphere is inviting. Grandparents are happy to see their granddaughter. It's been a little while. How's school? School was in Tokyo. Exams are coming up. They're just chit-chatting. They're cooking together. They're sitting down. And then it was at nighttime when the behavior started. And then even the atmosphere around them started to change, because I guess, she just had that dream. I've always wondered what was behind that door. I do find it interesting that her character in the cold open went from child to now grew up. Obviously, she ran away from something, but you got to visit family sometimes. So I sensed a fear almost, even as the adult her today. The behavior of the grandparents were fucking weird as fuck, especially with the pig noises. And I was like, and I don't know what they're cooking. Was it ramen noodles? I don't know what it was. There was something that they were cooking. I didn't know. It's their culture food. So I didn't know if that's like a normal thing, a normal meal. It was weird. And eventually find out what that is, which is absolutely disgusting. But the behavior is just weird. The parents were weird, and it gets fucking weirder as time goes on, especially after the crawling of the old man. And let me rephrase, I do like old people. I work with patients that are older. I don't like them in scary movies.
No.
And I think all hell breaks loose when you see the guy crawling out. But yeah, the fucking grandparents are Delulu. I felt so bad for her, the granddaughter.
Yeah, it was just when they started doing the pig noises, it was just because she heard the knock upstairs, and she's like looking up, and they basically started making the pig noises. And the scene prior to that, though, where basically what she asked her was the miso. Now, I've tried miso soup, and my wife loves miso soup, and that's what it was. It was they basically, it's a paste they leave it to ferment, and they'll take it and they'll make a soup with it. So, here she is, her grandmother saying, I'm gonna show you how to make the miso. This way you learn, it's part of our culture. And then, she hears a noise upstairs, and then her grandmother slips. Oh yeah, somebody's living there. She goes, what? Oh no, never mind. I'm just playing. We use it for storage.
That's the other thing. The dialogue from the very beginning has been weird. Even when she's on her way to visit, she's crossing the street with the old lady, and the old lady said something along the lines of, "It's so sad you guys have to sacrifice yourselves for us." And she's like, "What?" She said "what" a lot to a lot of people's delusional questions. So I like the setup of that too.
Yeah, you have to. This is one of the film. I mean, granted, yes, it's subtitles, but you have to keep an eye on what's said in this film because they give you little crumbs as the movie goes, And you had another scene, for example, where she experienced, her grandparents, like she walked in on her grandfather. He's just basically staring up and his mouth open, basically frozen in place. And then he snaps out of it when she wakes him up. Same thing happened with the grandmother, and then, she bumps into an old, childhood friend, and he has an interaction with another kid, and he asks the kid, your parents too. So you get these little things like, all right, what the hell's happening in this village? Is it just this village?
Right. The dialogue really carries this film.
Oh yes, this is very, very heavily driven by basically, the dialogue, the setup on everything. Yeah, and the light. Once again, lighting in this film was great.
Yeah,
and I mean it's international. International films have great lighting. Also, like a lot of the scenes, like the outside environment, it's like you feel like you're there, and the beauty of. I mean, I would love to visit where she was at because that place was just
right.
It
looks gorgeous.
Calm and beautiful. And it's just there's a lot of things in this film with these grandparents. Like the one scene where she finally gets the keys and she starts trying to open the door, and she turns around. The grandma's at the end of the hallway, and she just comes like running to her a little bit and just starts running into the door. And the thing is, all these things are happening, and then the next day, it's not even talked about because the grandparents are like nonchalant about everything. But you did mention something about this guy crawling on the floors. So there's this scene where it's the aftermath of basically, the behavior of her grandparents. And she's sitting there eating.
Her first night.
And all of a sudden, there's this guy crawling on the floor. And he's just moaning, and she looks at him, and his eyes and his mouth are basically sewn shut. I mean, what was your thought? Because I know both of us were thinking, is this paranormal? When we've seen this. But what was your thought when you seen that?
Again, I'm thinking paranormal at this point. It's still unknowing what's going on. Everybody in the town, like I said, lady crossing the street. She's not even her family, and she's saying weird things. Dialogue of the boys, weird. The guy crawling out, I'm thinking it's paranormal. They're not noticing it until grandma turns around. Oh, yeah, let's help him back into bed. Like it's a normal fucking thing. And I'm like, and his eyes are stitched, his mouth is stitched. The poor guy can't talk, see, or speak. And my jaw was on the ground because I was so confused at this point. I was like, why are they acting like this is normal? And I had to think as the movie goes on, and we'll dig into it, but I had to think they're seeing it from a different point of view than she's seeing it. And we'll dive deeper into that. But that part was so scary. And she's becoming a nurse, so I felt bad for her. She wants to help the patient. She wants to save people, as she said in the film. And she's like, this is like wrong. And I like the friendship she had with the boy that she runs into because he believes in what she sees, you know, or I should rephrase. He doesn't like what's going on just as well. She doesn't like what's going on. They are like this. He kept saying, this is wrong. This is, you know, fucked up. That's a great way to explain this movie is it's fucked. I would expect this film to be on like Joe's movies that fuck me up type. This was crazy. But the guy coming out, you had questions. Then the questions start getting answered as time goes on. But he freaked me out. I wasn't sure if he was like possessed. I'm still thinking, is this paranormal? What the fuck's going on? I don't even know what to label this. It's just fucked up horror. I don't even know it's not paranormal by any means.
Oh no.
It's just I think it's psychological if you think about it. It's definitely delusions and psyches being mixed, and it's definitely, I would say, a psychological. What do you think about this guy?
It's crazy because this film, when I was looking it up, while it has a lot of horror elements, it's more viewed as a drama / mystery. You know, because like when I seen the guy crawling on the floor, I'm like, what the fuck? And then, like you said, they turned around, they were like nonchalant. Oh, let's help him. You know, they grab him from, you know, one leg each. They pull him back into the room. She's like, what the hell's going on? And the grandmother basically says, oh, you know, we'll tell you. And then when she storms out the house, the grandfather's like, oh, we should have told her a lot sooner.
Yeah. And even the grandma said something else in that scene. She said, this guy saves us. He helps us, or something along the lines of that. Like, what?
Well, I found the connection with that, and I found that what it was too is the miso that they were creating. All right, so what's going on in this film is this goes back to the happiness thing. Is it appears that these families are abducting, or either abducting a person, or a person willing to sacrifice themselves to basically be almost consumed, because the incision that they had on their right side was where the liver is. So they were taking pieces of the liver that was helping create the miso soup. Because when when all hell breaks loose and they run out of the miso, that's when basically the family starts going through a whole thing where, you know, they're basically bleeding and they're going through all these different steps of death. But yeah, it took me a while to understand that part until I went back and like, all right, so that's the incision, that's the side where their liver is. So they're taking bits of, you know, this guy's liver. And
oh yeah, the bandage was there. You're right.
Yeah, creating the miso soup, the miso, because the liver is the one organ in the body that continues to regenerate. So basically, they're taking this guy's offering them happiness so they could go basically have a prolonged, successful life, which is like, and it's crazy because this is like the first, I think this movie's like an hour and 38 minutes. So this is like the first 45 to 50 minutes. You're like, all right, this film can't get any crazier. Oh no, this all hell breaks loose. I mean, do you want to start this next one, because these last 40 minutes were just nuts.
It was fucking wild. Like I said, I keep saying the word atmosphere, and the reason why I say that is because from her point of view, and even when walking around town, everything's gloom and sad and depressed and vile, even and fucking bonkers. Like her going into this, I'm assuming the lady she found in the woods was the
That was
aunt,
her aunt.
right?
That was her aunt.
Yeah, and she's just as delulu. That scene was actually pretty cool. I like that they threw the aunt in there. I'm thinking she was dead or something, and because even the father was like, "Yeah, she's probably dead by now." But again, the dialogue is carrying this film because there was other points in the film where they were discussing, oh, you have one too? Oh, does your family have one too? Like, I'm like, one what? A human, apparently, because they are the sacrifice to giving them a blissful life. Um, I don't know exactly what's going on in their like town and stuff, but apparently each family has someone that they're sacrificing to make them happy. But in someone that doesn't understand, like this girl, the nurse student, she doesn't understand. No one told her because everybody was like, "Oh, you don't know," and I'm like, I'm sitting here, know what? It took a while to get there, but know what? Like I want to know, and so I like the scene with the aunt because she semi explained it, but she was kind of like
Doing the same
delulu
thing.
at the same time. So she sacrificed herself because remember, she pulled back the blanket and it looked like her. So she was dead, right? So
No, I
that
don't think
scene
she
really
was.
confused
I think
me.
she was doing the same
Or is
thing
that just someone
because
random?
no, I think it was some random because they had the bag too, like an ID bag, because
Oh, you're right.
the father was explaining that well your aunt did the same thing you're doing, and she ran away.
Mhm.
So
Right.
he assumed her dead and goes, oh, she's probably in the mountains. So apparently she was in the mountains living her life,
Yeah.
kind of doing the same thing because that's the body that she had basically up
She was
there.
doing it in her own peace and
Yep.
quietness. She was out
Yes.
in the mountains. But again, from the nurse student's point of view, she's gloomy. The town looks like it's falling apart. But anytime, or no, near the end when she switched to, because eventually you want to talk about that part now?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about everything.
Okay, so spoiler alert. The boy that she's been interacting with, who's on her side, like this is all fucked up. We both want to do this. Let's go. They even talked about running away and just going finding their own happiness, but they realized it's not going to happen because things started pulling them back into the whole town and their families. And you better fix this shit because either we don't find someone new because they end up saving the guy in the house, cutting up the stitches and releasing him, which I liked that scene, by the way, with the guy coming out of the house because he's like, for God knows how long, hasn't seen the sun. He's free. And the poor bastard gets ran over and lit up.
That scene where he gets hit by
I found
that.
that kind
Oh
of
my God.
comical. I was like, damn, that scene was crazy. But at the end, when the guy ends up sacrificing himself for her family. Obviously, I felt like there was like maybe they liked each other type of vibe, but they don't get to experience that. But because he ends up being her family sacrifice, now she's happy. Everybody's happy. She's seeing what they're seeing in the town because she's walking through the town again. Remember when she was bloody in the sweater? It was gloomy. The buildings were falling apart. But now that she's in happiness, it's lit up. The town and the buildings look perfect, not falling apart at all. And I believe that guy is in her vision and they're dating now. So she's happy. You were seeing her point of view of depression, not happy, versus grandparents. They're lit up every time they speak. The house is lit up every time they speak. They're happy. I think I'll let you talk about the behavior getting worse of the grandparents. The scene with grandma and the baby.
Yeah,
I almost barked when it
that one messed
splashed
me
on
up,
the
man.
face.
It was comical too. That's the
comical.
part. It's here you have this grandmother basically pregnant. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how she got pregnant, to be honest. But that scene
because they
where
killed the sacrifice, so everything was counter-reacting, and I,
yeah, it
I
was just
felt like it was counter-reacting.
well, it's just weird because she's like, I don't know that whole scene. I'm saying like, and she got pregnant. She got big quick because, and then
Yeah.
that's where I think this movie took another twist because that scene where they released the guy, he's walking down this basically walking down this one long stretch road, which is once again beautiful environment, beautiful scenery, but he's walking down the road with a white shirt and basically his underwear is on. They're walking right behind him. Behind him, the grandparents are walking like, and everybody's walking like nice and calm. And then here comes her parents with her little brother. And next thing you know, the guy gets hit by a car. I mean, the way he flew in the air, I was like, holy shit.
Oh, I know. God.
And then when he lands,
But
the dude's still alive.
Everybody's, but the whole town's in on it because there was like neighbors coming out, people being nosy, and they're like, "Was this one yours?" And I'm like, "Why does everybody keep saying that?"
Is this one yours? This one yours? This we have to burn them. I'm like, what the fuck? And then they burn him, and then the lady, that neighbor's like, I'm telling the girl, she's like, you have to accept that the world is not a happy place. And this is the whole concept of the film, how the world is basically shit. And there's people who are basically happy, there's people who are not happy. In order for them to basically live their life and be happy, they have to take somebody's happiness from them.
Right.
And somebody has to sacrifice themselves in order for his family to be happy. And this is like, and as the movie is going, I'm sitting there like, as messed up as that sounds, I understand what they're saying. I understand the sense they make because the one scene where her aunt asks her, "Do you think people in Kenya are happy? The kids?" She goes, "Oh, I don't think so." She goes, "Yeah, but if we live our lives for basically others to view us and others to decide if we're happy or not, then you're not really living a happy life."
Right.
So, which that was when she said that, it's like, oh shit, I understand this. I understand this a little bit more now.
I'm wondering if the reason why the grandmother was pregnant is because that's where her life left off before she turned to happiness.
It's just,
I don't know though.
Yeah, that was.
I feel like I gotta watch it again because it was all
Yeah.
because I thought that was weird too. I'm like, what was the point of her being pregnant? And the scene of the delivery was disgusting. I was like, ugh. And the setup was weird. She's on the mother and father's back.
That was funny. I'm laughing. And the father's there, they're all there, push, and then the water breaks over his face. You're like,
oh,
he's sitting there, push, he's there, push. You're like, oh my God, what the fuck? And I think
there's
what
gotta
happened,
be a connection though.
Well, I think the baby was more like because the fact that her daughter left. Mm-hmm. So maybe the baby was the replacement of her daughter. Because remember how the daughter left and she went and basically moved to the mountains and she didn't know if her daughter was still alive or not. So maybe that was what the grandmother was really wanting. She wanted her daughter back in a way, but it's still kind of disturbing. And then there was another scene where even like the kid that was always getting bullied and picked on, and the other kid guy asking your family too, because the only one that didn't have somebody that was sacrificing was that guy living with his dad.
Helping her.
Yeah, they were miserable. And then that's when his father passed. He's like, everything, there's no hope in life. There's no hope in anything. So that's where he kind of forced her to kind of choke him out, basically put him to sleep. And then that's where she dragged him to the house.
He wanted her to be happy. He liked her. You could tell.
Oh, he did. But remember the dad told her, why don't you hook up with him and take him to Tokyo? Like the dad wanted him out. He wanted him to go live his life.
Nobody liked him.
Yeah, I mean, she was the one troublemaker, and even that kid when he told her, he goes that, she goes, "Are you happy?" He was like, "Yeah." He goes, I guess you have to accept happiness, and if you're not accepting happiness, then you never will, and then that's where the grandmother started calling her selfish. You're selfish. It's all about you. You have to understand that, someone has to sacrifice in order for everybody to be happy. I mean, it was a good like reasoning for what they were doing, is just
Yeah.
this one was just so fucking crazy with the way they pulled it up.
It is. Yeah. I like I said, I felt like it was definitely psychological with delusions
Oh,
of people's versions of happiness and what they had to do to get that. It's fucked. I felt bipolar watching this because I didn't know we were going to see a happy scene where everything was bright or we were going to see a dark scene.
Yeah.
So it was just like, that must, and you got to think of it like, because I felt like everybody was mentally ill, especially the grandparents. Like, but the mindset of this film was just portrayed very well. You could see just the delusions, the craziness. It was insane. It's a must watch. I would definitely give it a watch at least once or twice.
Oh, I gotta watch it again. Because I feel like
I do too.
there's a couple things I missed out, and I do feel like, because even the ladies say, you don't think other people are doing this? You think it's just us? So now it brings it a bigger scope. It's like, wow, is
Not
the
just in
people who
Japan.
is the people who are really happy sacrificing people in the process?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I thought it was very interesting. I mean, this film has a lot of. There's only, I think, like 2 scenes that I would say are actually 3 scenes are like any gore. Was when the aunt's having her practice, breaking, basically logs, and then bam,
Oh, yeah.
I think the aunt puts herself in front of there on purpose, so she gets axed to the head. And then there was the other scene where the grandparents are sitting with her and they say, "You're the apple of our eyes." And they grab her hands and they're forcing her.
Oh yeah. And then the
And
little boy, I think her brother.
Yes, because his
He was, like,
happiness was
scratching his
constantly
own eyes
playing.
out.
Well, yeah, his happiness was constantly playing video games to the point where his eyes were literally bulging out of his.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, this film, I got to tell you, I'm glad we did it. But yeah,
me too.
let's rate this film. So just like we do it in 3 Corners of Horror, we rate it through 1 through 5. But like I said, most of our review is basically on the storytelling, the characters, the dialogue, everything that makes this a good story-driven film. So, what would you rate it from 1 through 5, and why?
On characters?
Oh, no, just overall.
Overall.
Yeah.
Overall, I feel like it's a good solid 3.5. I felt like there was times where it was very slow and I'm like, and everybody's just like, you don't know. I'm like, can we get to the what we don't know? Because I don't know and I'm starting to get pissed off. Like, I need to know what's going on because I'm confused. This isn't paranormal. This is fucked up. And the guy is out pasty white and got ran over. So I was just like, what do we know? What do we don't know? Because we didn't know still at that point.
No.
So I felt, I love slow burns, but I felt like this was majorly slow. And but overall, again, the dialogue, the atmosphere, the way they portrayed happiness versus sadness was beautifully shot and well done. And man, I might even bump it to 4 just based off of that because I enjoyed it for what it was. Fucked, but I enjoyed it.
For me, I give it a 4, and because I didn't know what to expect of it, and I think as you're watching the film, it continues to escalate, and then you're wondering by the end, look at this, and is she gonna sacrifice her whole family, basically to stand her ground that this is wrong, but at the same time is she wants happiness too. She wants her family to be happy, and what happens at the end of the film? She's dating a doctor, which everybody told her eventually you're gonna find a doctor over there. Ironically, the funny twist in the film was that when you see her crossing the street with the doctor, that lady in the walker's there again, and she grabbed a different person. So I don't know if that lady that's in the city in Tokyo is the one that's basically connected to everything. So that's the big question mark I have, because here she is again, same thing. Somebody grabs her and helps her cross the street, and then she turns back and sees her real quick, but doesn't say nothing to her. So there's a lot of mystery in this film. I thought the acting was really, really well done. I liked all the characters. The grandparents are they pulled it off so well with the craziness. And
yeah, they did.
yeah, this film is definitely, I would say it is a must watch. It's
Definitely.
like I didn't. All I did was read the synopsis of it. I didn't read any reviews. I didn't watch the trailer. I wanted to go in fresh, and I'm glad I did because if I would have watched trailers, I think it would have kind of ruined it a little bit for me. But this film definitely takes the characters, takes the story, and just continues going down this crazy freaking path. And the fact is, it's all on happiness. What would you do to be happy, and what would you basically sacrifice, or who would you sacrifice in order to be happy? Because they told her, all right, they were all nuts. All right, you gotta go
I'm with
find
the
somebody.
nurse. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Eventually,
Just
she gave
kill
in.
me.
Yeah, eventually, she gave
Yeah.
in.
Well, because
But
she wanted out of the hellhole she was going through. She just killed her aunt. She's traumatized. She thinks she stabbed one of the bully.
yeah,
And she's just, her family almost attacked her because remember, all their eyes were bleeding
hmm
and they almost, attacked her. So she's just freaked the fuck out. She sees her brother rolling around, eyes all fucking gushed
sticking
out.
out.
So it's just like, she just wanted out of this hellhole. And I think the guy could tell. And that's why he made her choke him. And he ends up dying. He sacrificed himself for her. He obviously he liked her.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Oh no, I mean his father passed away, so he had nothing else to live for.
Mhm.
His father was his life, and that's the
That's
only
how
reason.
he felt.
Yeah, it's the only reason he's still in the village because his dad told him, "You're an artist. Go to Tokyo. Go be somebody." He didn't want to be
Mhm.
anybody. But yeah, this film is currently on AMC Plus and Shutter. Like we said, it is a must watch. Watch this film, enjoy this film, understand it's crazy. I mean, but it's a good crazy in a way. But yeah, these grandparents are probably for me one of the creepiest grandparents in any film. But overall, yeah, watch it. I'm glad we did it. I mean, we just rolled the dice and like, all right, let's do a movie, and we landed on the good one. So
Right. It wasn't even on our list. It was so random. We were like, fuck it. I mean, because it's an international film. And I think this
yeah,
is our first international film of all our seasons of What's Your Story. So it was, and I usually don't like gravitate towards international because I need English. I
I
don't
love
like reading my
international.
captions. I want to be able to watch the visuals. But this, I like that you bring it to our attention because it, it spreads out, my wings, so to speak, to other genres. And I do enjoy these type of films. It's just not something my first choice. So to bring this, and there's a fucking awesome fucked up story to it, it had to be on this as the first
Definitely.
episode.
Oh, see
What
me,
a cold open to
I love
season 3.
international film. International films are so good because unlike the American films, they're not afraid to hold back. So they'll
They are
basically
better. They know what
uh,
they're doing.
they do
International
it,
film. Yeah.
and they'll go to extremes. And this film kind of took happiness and turned it into a whole different thing, which is it worked. It worked in this film, and I'm glad we did it. But yeah, we have a lot of films coming your way. Some oldies, some new, some that came out in 2025 that we never talked about in Three Corners of Horror. But that's what What's Your Story is here for because, like I said, they don't like slow burns much. We love them, and we have a lot coming your way for season 3 of What's Your Story. So next time, Lexi, JR, What's Your Story here on Horror Fiend TV. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. We have great films coming your way this season, and they're going to be fun, a little bit all over the place. So we have basically different types of films coming your way. So until next
Yeah, I'm
time,
excited for this
oh
season.
yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait. So until next time, peace.